Have you ever felt like you're giving everything you've got, and still the world stays silent? What if the strength you're building isn't meant to be noticed, but meant to change you forever? This is not about applause. It's about the kind of power that only struggle can reveal. There are moments in life when everything feels unbearably heavy. Each step forward feels like dragging a mountain behind you. You show up, you push on, but no one sees the effort. No one claps for your consistency. No one praises your quiet resilience. And yet, the Stoic continues, not because the path is smooth, not because recognition awaits, but because the act of continuing itself is strength. To move forward when everything inside you wants to stop, that's when the real self emerges. Not the version shaped for comfort, but the version forged by grit, by persistence, by fire. The Stoic doesn't talk about power, they show it. Not through speeches, but through decisions. Every time they rise again, they're not chasing some external prize, they're building something far more lasting. An inner strength that doesn't crack under pressure. This isn't a feel-good quote. It's a way of life. Keep going. You are stronger than you think. That's not just advice, it's the truth. That's the Stoic path. The Stoics. Message. The Stoic does not sprint. They march slow, deliberate, grounded. They don't mistake urgency for importance. They don't chase quick wins or the illusion of overnight success, while others obsess over how far they still have to go. The Stoic stays focused on one thing, the next intentional step, even when that step feels small, even when it feels invisibly it matters. A journey of 1,000 miles isn't made in leaps. It's made in the quiet decision to not stop again and again. This isn't about hype. It's not about momentum for its own sake. It's about showing up even when your energy is low, even when your spirit feels dim. It's about honoring your values, not when it's easy, but when it's hardest to stay true. Power doesn't come from drama. It comes from consistency, the kind done in silence, under pressure, when no one's watching. The Stoic rejects shortcuts. They don't get distracted by flashes of energy or the shallow thrill of speed. They choose to build what lasts, and they do it slowly, not out of weakness, but because they know that fast-built towers often crumble first. While the world races and compares and screams, you're falling behind. The Stoic walks focused, grounded, aligned. They know that the one who walks with purpose will outlast the one who runs without direction. Patience is not delay. It's power under control. Life will try to bait you with detours, comparisons, highlight reels. It will whisper, "Why not? You, why so slow?" But the Stoic doesn't answer, because speed is not their compass. Integrity is. And their only question is, am I still walking in alignment with who I want to become? The Stoic does not ask, am I ahead, or am I admired? Because the march is never about racing to the finish line. It's about arriving whole. And arriving whole means being mindful of what each step truly represents. Every step walked, in principle, is more than motion. It's a quiet act of personal victory. Each day lived in alignment with your values, no matter how exhausting or invisible to others, is a statement. I am still in control. You are not being tossed around by the chaos of the world. You are grounded in your path, and this loyalty to your journey isn't blind. It's conscious. It's earned through repetition, through resistance, through daily testing. Each step you take carries your name. Each moment you live becomes a signature etched into who you are becoming. And no one, not failure, not delay, not judgment, can erase that from you. When life inevitably knocks the Stoic down, they don't ask why me, they ask, what now? They don't personalize adversity. They don't dramatize difficulty, because hardship is not a mistake. It is part of the path itself. The Stoic isn't mesmerized by the finish line, they're grounded in the process. One step, then another, then another. This is how mountains are moved, not with noise, not with dramatic flair, but with quiet, unshakable resolve. They return to the path, again and again, not to avoid difficulty, but to walk through it without crumbling. Endurance isn't the absence of pain, it's the ability to assign meaning within the pain. Because when you suffer without purpose, it drains you. But when you suffer with purpose, it refines you. The power of the Stoic is not found in shouting or show. It's in the soft but fierce whisper, I will not stop. No matter how tired, no matter what others say, no matter how slow it feels. Because stopping doesn't just abandon the path, breaks a promise made to the self, the sacred vow, to become everything you are meant to be. So today, don't try to take the perfect step. Don't aim for the final leap. Just take the next one. Don't chase results, chase rhythm. The steady, intentional rhythm of someone who has decided, I will not quit on myself. Because the one who keeps going becomes someone entirely new, someone the past version would hardly recognize. The one who keeps going becomes a leader not through loud words, but through quiet consistency. Not through image, but through integrity. Not through performance, but through purpose. The Stoic does not march to impress. They march to remember who they are. They've chosen the path of mastery over spectacle. They understand the world may not understand their pace, but they know their purpose. And with every grounded step, they silently declare, nothing will move me from my mission. That is how the powerful walk. That is how the Stoic becomes what they were born to be, not in a flash, but step by sacred step. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be present. Because presence, that quiet awareness in the now, is where true power lives. Not power over outcomes, but power over yourself. Over how you respond when life doesn't go your way. Presence is remembering who you are when everything around you is trying to make you forget. The Stoic doesn't meet life with aggression. They meet it with clarity. They don't shout at the storm, they listen, they adjust, they respond. They don't waste energy trying to control the wind. They adjust their sails. They don't curse the weight, they lift it. They don't run from life's tests, they rise to meet them. They don't dream of an easier life, they prepare for the one they have. And because they've prepared, they're not easily shaken when hardship hits. They've trained for this. They don't wear armor made of denial. They're anchored in preparation. This isn't blind endurance. It's conscious resilience. It's refusing to let struggle define you. It's understanding that pressure isn't punishment, it's a question. Are you ready? Are you calm? Will you hold your ground? Life doesn't ask how much pain you can tolerate. In theory, it asks how much you can carry with integrity, with composure, and with grace. The Stoic trains daily not for applause, but for moments like this, moments when others panic, and they remain steady. They don't rehearse strength to be praised. They build strength in silence, so they can remain whole in chaos. Their power isn't loud, it's rooted. It's earned through repetition, through boredom, through failure, through the quiet discipline of showing up again even when motivation is gone. Not for glory, but for growth. Not for image, but for the soul. Because when the real test comes, and it always comes, They're not searching for strength. They've already built it. They know that true preparation isn't flashy. It's invisible. It's the early morning habits. It's the decision to hold your values even when no one's watching. It's training your mind to remain calm when others fall apart. The Stoic doesn't train for fantasy. They train for reality, for stress, for loss, for pain, for uncertainty. Not to avoid these things, but to meet them with the clarity that comes only from deep, deliberate effort. If life feels heavy, it's not a sign to break. It's a signal to awaken. It's a call to remember. Strength is not the absence of pressure. It's how you carry yourself under it. That pressure isn't there to crush you. It's there to call you into your power. It's asking, will you collapse or rise? Will you abandon your training or embody it? Will you react blindly? Respond with calm. Will you remember what you've built? Not with panic, but with poise. And that poise, it's not a performance. It's presence. It's the ability to feel pain and still move wisely. To be tested and still stay loyal to your principles. To hold your posture when everything is shaking. The Stoic knows hardship doesn't have to harden you. It can humble you. It can polish you. It can raise you if you meet it with presence and principle. Your power is not found in avoiding challenge. It's revealed in your ability to respond with clarity in the chaos. Because your real test isn't how you act when life is kind. It's how you hold yourself when the world is anything but. When the world shakes, your preparation either disappears or it reveals itself. If you answer life's pressure with presence, with purpose, and with poise, then you no longer have to wonder. You will know you are powerful not because life is easy, but because you carry its weight with meaning. You are strong not because you can't be hurt, but because you are unwavering in your response. You are deep not because nothing touches you, but because everything that touches you refines you. That is the power of the Stoic. That is what the pressure was always meant to reveal, not your limits, but your layers, not your fear, but your readiness. Let the pressure come and let it find you prepared. Chapter 3. Discipline is your compass. Without discipline, you drift. Without discipline, your power leaks away through distractions, through impulses, through the noise of other people's urgency. You become reactive instead of intentional, scattered instead of centered. The Stoic understands this. To them, discipline is not a burden, it's a gift. It's what brings order to chaos, what gives shape to uncertainty. Discipline is the quiet structure holding your foundation when everything else feels unstable. It is not punishment. It is not self-denial. It is alignment, to daily decision, to live in harmony with your highest values. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about directing yourself. It's choosing what is right over what is easy. It's the silent courage to stay consistent when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when distractions scream louder than your purpose. Discipline doesn't shout, but it speaks volumes. Through action, it's the strength to return to your path when excuses try to pull you off. It's choosing the hard thing, the building thing, over the tempting thing. Because the Stoic knows the real discipline isn't loud. It's what you practice when there's no spotlight, when no one's watching, but the pressure is very real. That's where character is carved. To hold yourself to a higher standard when it would be easier to relax. That's the foundation of all inner power. You're not here to obey your moods. You're here to guide them. You're not a servant to motivation. You are the architect of action. Discipline transforms fleeting inspiration into lasting behavior. It's the bridge between your intentions and your reality. It's how virtue stops being an idea and becomes a lived experience. The Stoic does not wait to feel like taking action. They act because they know that action creates momentum. Momentum builds mastery. And mastery unlocks freedom. The freedom that comes when your mind is no longer ruled by urges, but by understanding. Every small choice, waking early, sharpening focus, training your thoughts, none of it is trivial. They are acts of transformation. In motion, each one is a brick laid in the building of an unshakable inner world. Every discipline strengthens your integrity. Every return to principle pushes back against the chaos trying to unravel your mind. You don't become strong by accident. You become strong by deliberate decision. And that decision isn't made once, it's made over and over again. In the quiet corners of each day, in the moments no one sees, in the actions no one celebrates. There is no great character without great discipline, and there is no real discipline without discomfort. But the Stoic doesn't run from discomfort. They welcome it because they know where it leads, to clarity, to strength, to self-respect. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It is an invitation to rise, to go deeper into the process of becoming. Discipline is not cold restraint. It is fierce devotion. It is the stance you take toward your own potential. It is a form of love, the highest kind. The kind that says, I will not betray the person. I am capable of becoming. Not today, not because it's hard, not even when no one's watching. So, when you feel lost, don't wait to be rescued. Don't look to the sky for signs. Don't hope someone will carry you. Return to your practices. Return to your breath. Return to your thoughts. Return to your principles. Return to the rituals that remind you who you are, especially when the world forgets. Discipline will guide you home, not with noise, but with certainty. When the pressure returns, as it always does, it won't shout at you. It will whisper, you've been here before. You know this terrain. You've always had the strength to walk through it. All you have to do is trust it. If you trust that voice, if you honor the quiet compass within, you'll find your way forward. Not by accident, not by luck, but by choice. Not with frantic movement, but with conviction. Chapter 4. The obstacle is the path. There is no real growth without resistance. There is no clarity without contrast. There is no becoming stronger without being challenged. The Stoic does not resent obstacles. They don't see setbacks as failures. They don't treat difficulties as detours. They see them as teachers. Every challenge is not an interruption, it is the path. It's the furnace where strength is forged. That very thing you wish would disappear is often the very thing shaping your character, not in theory, but in the muscle of your mindset, in the fiber of your being. We live in a time obsessed with ease, with shortcuts, speed, and surface-level results. A culture that promises comfort without sacrifice, rewards without effort. But the Stoic sees through that illusion. They know anything real, anything lasting must be earned. They don't pray for life to get easier. They train themselves to get stronger. They don't hope for the path to become smooth. They prepare their mind to walk it no matter how steep, how rugged, how slow, when things get hard. The Stoic does not say, this shouldn't be happening. They say, this is exactly where I'm meant to be. Not because suffering is noble, but because challenge is necessary. Every setback is a signal. Every failure is feedback. Every closed door is not rejection, it's redirection. Pain is not punishment, it's a prompt. a prompt to pay attention, to adapt, to grow. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That's not just a quote. It's a lens, a way of seeing, a way of living. It's the mindset that turns adversity into an ally, that turns resistance into refinement, that transforms every block in the road into an invitation not to stop, but to go deeper, to become more grounded, more wise, more unshakable. It's the mindset that lets a Stoic look at what others fear and walk toward it not with panic, but with calm. What if you stopped resisting difficulty and started working with it? What if every obstacle became your training partner? What if the things you once called unfair were actually the hands shaping you into someone unbreakable? What if the right question wasn't, how do I remove this? But rather, how do I become the kind of person who can carry this with grace, with power, with purpose? This mindset isn't born overnight. It's forged through repetition, through reflection, through choosing courage over comfort. It's built by facing pain, not avoiding it, by looking it in the eye and saying, you don't define me, but you will refine me. It's shaped by choosing stillness over panic, responsibility over blame, growth over ease. And once this mindset is forged, it changes everything, because now you're no longer afraid of difficulty. You no longer need life to cooperate. You're not hoping for it to go your way. You are committed to going your way regardless of what life throws at you. You weren't meant to live untouched. You were meant to be tempered, to be forged through fire, like steel. Drawn from flame, your resilience becomes your radiance. Let the obstacle shape you, not into someone bitter, but into someone unbreakable. Let it strip away what is weak, unclear, or false. Let it reveal what has always lived inside you, a strength that was earned, a purpose that runs deep, a will that does not retreat. Because in the end, the path isn't some distant road. The path is here, in the resistance, in the test, in the very thing that dares to block your way. The obstacle is not the end, it is the invitation, and your job is to walk toward it. The Stoic understands this truth at the deepest level. Real power doesn't come from forcing outcomes or obsessing over what might happen next. They don't waste their energy chasing imagined futures or rehearsing regrets from the past. They don't live in the shadows of what was, or in fantasies of what might be. They choose instead to bring their full self into the now, because the present is where life actually happens. It is the only place where change is truly possible, and presence is not passive. It's not detaching from life or sitting quietly in avoidance. It's the opposite, it's full engagement. It's a rare and powerful act to notice life in real time and to respond to it intentionally and wisely. To be present is to feel deeply, without being ruled by those feelings, to think clearly, without being dragged by every thought. Presence means no longer leaking your energy into what if and if only. It means no longer bargaining with time, but instead respecting it, often. When you feel overwhelmed, it's not because of what's actually happening. It's because of the story you're telling about what's happening. You're trying to live 3 days at once, carrying tomorrow's fears, yesterday's shame, and today's tasks all at once, and wondering why your mind feels crushed. But power doesn't live in the future, and it doesn't live in the past. Power lives in presence. It lives in the decision to carry only what's real, not what your mind invents. That's why the Stoic breathes deeply. grounds themselves and asks, what is mine to do right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, not when things calm down, but right now, because they understand now is sacred. Every choice is an act of becoming. Every breath is a doorway into peace or into panic, and they choose with full awareness how to step through that door. Presence is a skill, a mental muscle. And like any muscle, it's built through repetition. By noticing when the mind wanders and gently bringing it back. By catching distraction in the act. By reminding yourself there is no real power in prediction and no true freedom in rumination. Only now holds the keys. Only the present moment can be shaped, acted upon, or fully lived. Everything else, just noise. Noise disguised as urgency. This kind of focus isn't easy in a world that profits off your distraction. But the Stoic knows, just like the body, the mind can be trained to stay, to breathe, to focus on the one thing that's real, the task at hand. This training won't win applause. It won't be glamorous, but it is profound. To return to presence is to interrupt chaos with calm. It's to build a sanctuary inside yourself, even when storms rage outside. You won't find peace in overthinking. You won't find clarity in panic. You'll find them in stillness, in simplicity, in the practice of presence. To narrow your focus to the only thing that is true, this moment, this choice, this breath. It is the act of coming home to yourself, again and again, until being here becomes your natural state. And when it does, life slows down. Not because the world changes, but because your relationship to it does. To keep going, to stay powerful, you must learn to return to the moment again and again. Each time you do, you strengthen your center, you sharpen your awareness, you reclaim your ability to choose. And from that centered place, your actions carry weight, your words carry meaning, your presence becomes magnetic. You become a steady force in a frantic world, a grounding energy that others feel, even if they can't describe it. You become the calm in the storm, not because the chaos stopped, but because you chose not to mirror it. The world will try to pull you away from yourself. It will demand urgency. It will drown you in noise. It will convince you that now isn't enough. It will sell you distractions disguised as solutions, urgency dressed up as importance, and fear pretending to be foresight. But the Stoic knows, power is not out there. It is here. In the now, true presence reveals itself in your decisions, not in the choice to live fully right now, in the courage to act from clarity, not from panic, in the quiet strength to keep choosing presence over reactivity again and again, until presence is no longer something you practice, but something you embody, until it becomes your natural posture, your hidden advantage, your silent superpower, because nothing cuts through confusion like stillness, and nothing diffuses chaos like a person who refuses to be rushed. Presence is not about escaping the world. It's about arriving fully into it. It's not denial, it's attention. When you are fully in the moment, you stop postponing your life. You stop bargaining with time, and you begin to truly inhabit the only space where power actually lives. The now, and the now does not demand perfection. It only asks for your participation, because when you're present, you're alive. And when you're fully alive, you are powerful. Not because everything is under control, but because you are finally standing in the only place where anything can be changed, here, now, and from that place, anything becomes possible, because everything is in motion. And you are no longer a passive observer, but a sculptor shaping your life moment by moment, breath by breath, decision by decision. Chapter 6. Walking through fire, the Stoic does not go out looking for the fire. But when it comes, they do not run from it. They don't romanticize pain, but they don't fear it either, because they understand a timeless truth. Life's most powerful transformations often happen in the fire, in discomfort, in pressure, in pain. The fire is not the end of the story. It's the forge. To be burned by challenge is not a sign of failure. It's evidence that you're close to change. It means you are brushing against the edge of growth. It means you're standing at the doorway of a stronger version of yourself. The fire strips away what is false, what is weak, what no longer serves. It tests your beliefs. It presses against your identity. And what remains after that pressure, that is what is real. That is what you can trust. To walk through fire means to move forward, even when you can't see clearly. It means to keep breathing, even when your mind is screaming. It means to choose what is hard, because it is right. It means to keep going, despite fear, despite discomfort, despite the powerful pull to turn around and run back to comfort. But the Stoic knows comfort isn't always safety. Sometimes it's stagnation disguised as rest. Sometimes what feels like peace is just the absence of growth. The world will often sell you a version of life without fire, a version filtered for ease, numbed by distraction, curated for comfort. But what the world offers in return is a dull life, a restless life, a life that makes you dependent and disconnected from your strength. Because when resistance is removed, so is your ability to grow. The Stoic doesn't seek a life without friction. They seek a life rooted in truth. And truth often demands that. We walk through fire to reach it, not because truth is cruel, but because truth is clarifying. And clarity always comes at a cost. You don't leave the fire the same. That's the point. You come out refined, stripped to your essence, and then rebuilt stronger. You come out with scars that tell stories, not of defeat, but of rising. You come out with a quiet confidence, the kind that belongs only to those who have walked through what others fear, and stood tall at the end. You come out knowing what can be burned, and what can never be touched. You begin to see that what is real in you cannot be destroyed, only revealed. The truth of who you are isn't found in books. It's found in fire, in what's left when everything comfortable is gone. That's the heart of fortitude, to endure with dignity, to suffer with strength, to rise not untouched, but unshaken, not preserved, but transformed, and not transformed in appearance, but in depth. While others retreat from hardship, the Stoic steps forward, not recklessly, but with readiness, because they've practiced for this moment. In their mind, in their soul, they've rehearsed the breaking point, not to fear it, but to face it. They've trained their breath, sharpened their thoughts, strengthened their principles. They do not rely on fleeting motivation. They rely on preparation, so when the fire comes, it always comes. The Stoic does not panic. They don't scream. They don't retreat. They breathe. They step forward. They endure the burn and they keep walking, not because they enjoy the burn, but because they believe in what lies beyond it. Because they know on the other side of fire is not just survival, but clarity, self-respect, and resilience. The fire does not destroy them, it defines them, not by what it takes away, but by what it reveals and leaves behind. The Stoic understands something most people fear to face. Fire clarifies, It strips life of its illusions. It burns away the false comfort, the shallow praise, the fragile ego. It incinerates attachments to identity, status, and surface-level security. What's left is what can survive the heat: truth, conviction, character, resilience. The fire removes the noise. What remains is the raw, unpolished essence of who you are, when there's nothing left to prove, and everything left to endure. That moment when all the extras are gone, and all you have is your breath, your mind, and your will. That is the revelation. The fire is not your enemy. It is your refiner. It doesn't come to ruin you. It comes to reveal you. It is the ancient test of all things worth becoming. And through it, the Stoic is not destroyed. They are purified. Not by avoiding hardship, but by moving straight. Through it, with eyes open, with heart steady. And when you emerge, soar, humbled. But awake, you will know this with certainty. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not broken. You are born again to strength. And you carry with you now a quiet, unshakable force, the kind that belongs only to those who stood in the flame and refused to bow. You become the kind of person the fire respects because you did not run. You became more by facing it. Chapter 7. The discipline to stand alone there. Are moments in life when the crowd goes one way, but your soul tells you to go the other. These are not ordinary moments. These are defining moments. Moments where who you truly are becomes more important than who you appear to be. The Stoic knows that strength is not only tested in adversity, but in isolation. It's easy to be brave when others are cheering you on. It's harder when your courage is met with silence. It's even harder when it's met with resistance. But when you stand alone in your values, when your convictions make you the minority, when silence surrounds your truth, that is where character is forged, not with noise, but with an inner fire, not in performance, but in perseverance. To live with integrity often means to walk paths few will applaud. It means learning to breathe in a space where you are not celebrated. It is the decision to be misunderstood, even dismissed, rather than betray what is right. This is not defiance for the sake of rebellion. This is devotion for the sake of truth. It is the quiet rebellion of staying rooted in principle while the world bends for applause, popularity, or comfort. The Stoic does not need to be surrounded to feel secure. Their foundation is inward, not outward. They are not fed by validation. They are fed by clarity. They are not fueled by agreement. They are fueled by alignment. This solitude is not loneliness. It is leadership. It's the ability to hold your ground when others shift theirs. It is the refusal to water yourself down just to belong. It is the clarity that comes when the noise fades and only your values remain. It is the resolve to walk alone because you know where you're going. Because the Stoic understands to stand alone in truth is far more noble than to sit comfortably in the crowd's illusion. Popularity is fleeting. Principle is forever. What the world applauds today, it may discard tomorrow, but what is rooted in truth remains unshaken. Chapter 7. The discipline to stand alone continued when all the applause fades and there's no one left to tell you whether you're right or wrong. What remains is your unshakable character, one untouched by praise or pressure. It's a kind of stillness that says, I know who I am, even if no one else agrees, and I will not trade that for approval. But remember, this strength doesn't happen spontaneously. It doesn't come from grand gestures, but is carved slowly, and quietly through small decisions most people overlook. It is built in daily habits of integrity, in telling the truth when silence would be easier, in doing what's right even when no one sees, in choosing principle over popularity again and again, until it becomes your second nature. Each of those choices might seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they build a fortress of conviction no storm can shake. That solitude becomes your armor, not armor that isolates, but armor that leads it. It shields you from the need to be liked. It protects your peace. It keeps you grounded when the world sways. It frees you from the addiction to approval. It sharpens your sense of identity. It teaches you how to carry your own voice, even if it echoes in an empty room. And the one who wears that armor walks tall, not with arrogance, but with peace, because they are no longer swayed by the tides of opinion. They are rooted in truth, and truth, once rooted, does not sway, does not scream, does not beg. It simply stands. And so does the one who carries it. To stand alone is not to be abandoned. It means being aligned with your soul, your standard, and what truly matters. It's the strength to hold silence without shrinking, the courage to know your worth without an audience, the endurance to keep showing up, not because others believe in you, but because you believe in the path you've chosen. And when you can do that, when you can look in the mirror and respect the person staring back, you'll realize your strength was never about being accepted. It was always about being unwavering, unshaken even when your voice trembles, unbending even when your truth costs you comfort, unwilling to wait for consensus to validate your conviction. You do not need the world to understand you. You only need to remain faithful to what you know is right. Because in a world that often mistakes noise for wisdom and consensus for truth, to stand alone is to stand powerfully, not above others, but deeply anchored in yourself, not detached but discerning. It is a strength that speaks even in silence, a presence that does not demand attention but earns respect. That is the Stoic way, the discipline that transforms solitude into strength and conviction into calm. And once this kind of presence is cultivated, it not only changes how you live, it changes how others see what's possible. It's a quiet revolution, lit by one soul who never needed a crowd to walk in truth. Page 10. The power of deliberate stillness. They don't rush into action. They observe first. They listen before they speak. They seek understanding before passing judgment. Their stillness is not empty of power. It is power perfectly aimed. This kind of stillness is not something you're born with. It is a skill, a discipline forged over time. In a world that confuses stillness with laziness or irrelevance, the Stoic walks the opposite path. They cultivate stillness intentionally, like an art form. They train it through silent mornings, long walks with their own thoughts, and the restraint not to react to every provocation. They build it through discipline, staying grounded in principle, even when emotions flare. Each time they choose silence over retaliation, calm over chaos, values over reactivity. They're making a quiet vow to remain true. Stillness is also shaped in adversity. When others panic, the Stoic breathes. When others rage, the Stoic pauses. They learn to listen before responding, to watch before assuming. They know rushing is the enemy of clarity. The world may reward speed, but wisdom respects patience. The Stoic doesn't move on demand. They act when it's time, not when pressured. They aren't driven by the need to appear busy. They're moved by the need to remain aligned. In that stillness, they see through illusions. They discern what matters and let go of what doesn't. They recognize the traps of urgency, vanity, and ego and step around them. They don't chase every opportunity, nor do they respond to every distraction, because not every battle deserves. Their energy stillness gives them control, not over the world, but over themselves. And self-command, the Stoics teach, is the beginning of true power. When you master your own mind, no external chaos can throw you off course. To be still is to be strong, because when you no longer need to prove, to chase, or to impress, you are free. When you can sit with discomfort without flinching, observe emotions without becoming them, and act deliberately instead of reacting impulsively, you are powerful. Stillness is not retreat, it is readiness. It is the sharpened edge of discipline. It is not detachment, it is discernment. It is not weakness, it is wisdom, held in motion, restrained until the moment calls for it. It is strategy, it is sovereignty. It is control, held quietly and firmly in your own hands. And within that readiness, the Stoic finds their real power, the ability to act from principle, to speak from depth, to live with intention. Stillness is not weakness, it is the deepest form of strength, the kind that doesn't waver because it relies on nothing external. It doesn't rise and fall with opinion. It isn't shaken by applause or pressured by trends. It is rooted in values that do not move with the wind. It is the anchor within while the world sways. The world moves fast. The Stoic moves rightly. They move with awareness. They move with resolve. And because of that, they are never truly shaken. They are simply choosing their ground and standing on it well. Page 11. The power of the pause, a reaction driven by ego or fear, is like a spark, fast, explosive, but often costly. But the Stoic's response is different. It's slow, deliberate, disciplined. It comes from principle, not impulse. It's not shaped by fleeting emotions, but by the solid core of who they are. The Stoic learns to insert a pause between stimulus and action, not to avoid acting, but to elevate their action. They understand that just because something provokes them doesn't mean it deserves them. Not every insult is worth a counterattack. Not every disturbance is a worthy opponent. Delay is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the doorway to restraint, and properly understood, restraint isn't suppression, it's refinement. That pause gives them space to ask, is this worth my energy? Does this align with who I'm becoming? What result am I feeding here? Is this my highest response, or just my fastest one? In a single breath, the Stoic takes back control. They break the cycle. They slow down time. They are not pulled, they are poised. They are not ignited, they are intentional. While others spiral in reactive chaos, the Stoic anchors into thoughtful response. That moment of silence becomes their shield, that breath becomes their sword. This is not emotional coldness, it's courage. Courage to feel the flame without setting everything round them on fire. Courage to hold the heat without throwing it back. Courage to take the hit and still walk forward with dignity. The world may reward speed, but wisdom respects patience. The Stoic doesn't move on demand. They act when it's time, not when pressured. They aren't driven by the need to appear busy. They're moved by the need to remain aligned. In that stillness, they see through illusions. They discern what matters and let go of what doesn't. They recognize the traps of urgency, vanity, and ego and step around them. They don't chase every opportunity, nor do they respond to every distraction, because not every battle deserves. Their energy, stillness, gives them control, not over the world, but over themselves. And self-command, the Stoics teach, is the beginning of true power. When you master your own mind, no external chaos can throw you off course. To be still is to be strong, because when you no longer need to prove, to chase, or to impress, you are free. When you can sit with discomfort without flinching, observe emotions without becoming them, and act deliberately instead of reacting impulsively, you are powerful. Stillness is not retreat, it is readiness. It is the sharpened edge of discipline. It is not detachment, it is discernment. It is not weakness, it is wisdom, held in motion, restrained until the moment calls for it. It is strategy, it is sovereignty. It is control held quietly and firmly in your own hands. And within that readiness, the Stoic finds their real power, the ability to act from principle, to speak from depth, to live with intention. Stillness is not weakness, it is the deepest form of strength, the kind that doesn't waver because it relies on nothing external. It doesn't rise and fall with opinion. It isn't shaken by applause or pressured by trends. It is rooted in values that do not move with the wind. It is the anchor within while the world sways. The world moves fast. The Stoic moves rightly. They move with awareness. They move with resolve. And because of that, they are never truly shaken. They are simply choosing their ground and standing on it well. Page 11. The power of the pause. Reaction driven by ego or fear is like a spark, fast, explosive, but often costly. But the Stoic's response is different. It's slow, deliberate, disciplined. It comes from principle, not impulse. It's not shaped by fleeting emotions, but by the solid core of who they are. The Stoic learns to insert a pause between stimulus and action, not to avoid acting, but to elevate their action. They understand that just because something provokes them doesn't mean it deserves them. Not every insult is worth a counterattack. Not every disturbance is a worthy opponent. Delay is not weakness, it is strategy. It is the doorway to restraint, and properly understood. Restraint isn't suppression, it's refinement. The pause gives them space to ask, is this worth my energy? Does this align with who I'm becoming? What result am I feeding here? Is this my highest response, or just my fastest one? In a single breath, the Stoic takes back control. They break the cycle. They slow down time. They are not pulled, they are poised. They are not ignited, they are intentional. While others spiral in reactive chaos, the Stoic anchors into thoughtful response. That moment of silence becomes their shield, that breath becomes their sword. This is not emotional coldness, it's courage. Courage to feel the flame without setting everything around them on fire. Courage to hold the heat without throwing it back. Courage to take the hit and still walk forward with dignity. You are powerful, not someday, but now. Because power isn't something you wait for. It's something you embody in every breath, every action, every time you refuse to retreat from what matters. Even in doubt, even in exhaustion, even when nothing on the outside reflects what's growing inside you. The Stoic keeps going, and in doing so, they remember who they are, not who the world said they should be, not who fear tried to reduce them to, but who they are at their core. Resilient, principled, deliberate. They are not moved by noise. They are moved by purpose. Every step taken in alignment with your values is a step away from the old version of yourself, the hesitant one, the fearful one, the one who doubted their own strength. Each step is a vote for the person you're becoming the one who faces discomfort without retreating, who chooses action rooted in values rather than fear. You don't need to see the finish line to know you're progressing. You only need to take the next honest step. Keep going, not for perfection, but for persistence. Not because every day feels inspired, but because every effort plants something within you. Each act of self-respect, each moment you stay disciplined when it would be easier to drift, rewrites your story. Keep going, not because the road is smooth, but because you were made strong enough to walk it. You've already survived days you thought would break you. You've already shown yourself what resilience looks like. Now is the time to believe in that quiet force, the one that keeps carrying you forward. Page 13. Keep going. Power lives in persistence. Keep going, because power doesn't come from having all the answers. Power is found in the refusal to abandon the questions that truly matter. The questions your heart is still wrestling with, even when the world around you feels uncertain or unclear. Keep going, even if you don't yet see how it will all work out, because courage isn't found in knowing the entire path. It's in choosing to build something anyway. Even in the middle of uncertainty, you are not defined by the distance left to travel, but by the courage to keep moving forward. Not with perfection, not with a map, but with one steady decision, one centered breath, one grounded moment where you refuse to betray your values. And through each of these, you begin to transform. And if you keep going long enough, if you keep returning to your principles even when it's tempting to quit, there will come a day when you look back and realize you were powerful all along. Not because you became someone else, but because you uncovered who you were always meant to be.